and Sariputta and Mahamoggallana were living a holy life under the wanderer sampajañña. They had made a pact that whichever of them first reached the deathless should inform the other. Now, it being morning, the Venerable Assaji dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went into Rajgana for alms. His manner as he went inspired confidence, whether in moving forwards or backwards, looking ahead or aside, bending or stretching. His eyes were downcast, and he moved with grace. The wanderer Sariputta saw him thus as he was begging for alms in Rajgana, and he thought, there are arahants in the world, those who possess the arahant path, and this bhikkhu is one of them. Suppose I approach him and ask under whom he has gone forth, or who is his teacher, or whose dhamma he confesses. But then he thought, it is not the time to ask this bhikkhu while he is wandering for alms among houses. Suppose I follow behind him to trace what the seekers have discovered. And this is actually something that Ajahn would quote over and over again in teaching the community that are, it's not so much what we say or that we have to get up on a dumb seat and preach the Dhamma. It's our conduct is really of the utmost importance and one of the most effective ways of actually presenting the teachings, so that just by our good conduct and our practice according to what's called the behavior of a religious seeker or religious wanderer. This has important ramifications. When the Venerable Assaji had finished his round, he left Rajgana with his alms food. Then the wanderer Sariputta went up to him and greeted him. When this courteous formal talk was finished, he stood at one side, and he said to him, friend, your faculties are serene. The color of your skin is clear and bright. Under whom have you gone forth? Or who is your teacher? Or whose dhamma do you confess? There is the great monk, friend, the son of the Sakyas, who went forth from the Sakyan clan. I have gone forth under that blessed one. He is my teacher. It is that blessed one's dhamma that I confess. But what does the Venerable One's teacher say? What does he tell? I have only recently gone forth, friend. I have only just come to this Dhamma and discipline. I cannot teach you the Dhamma in detail. Still, I will tell you its meaning in brief. Then Sariputta said, so be it, friend. Say much or little as it suits you. Tell me but the meaning now, for I need no more than the meaning, with no thought of details yet. The Venerable Assaji told the wanderer Sariputta this sketch of the Dhamma. The perfect one has told the cause of causally arisen things, and what brings their cessation too. Such is the doctrine preached by the great monk. Now, when the wanderer Sariputta heard this statement of the Dhamma, the spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in him. All that is subject to arising is subject to cessation. And these are some verses that we assume he uttered. This is the truth. Even if that were all, you have attained the state where there is no sorrow, that we for many times, 10,000 ages, have let pass by unseen. So this verse, of course, that's the immaculate vision of the Dhamma. All that is subject to arising month. Say the Pali for that is Ye Tamma Hetu Pambhava Te Samhetam Tathagato Te Sanchayo Niroto Evam Vadi Mahasamanoti. And that in Buddhist history and Buddhist culture became an extremely widely quoted phrase that was used in ancient times, carved on Buddha images when they started making Buddha images, carved on chedis, carved on the ancient sites of Assaji and Amaravati, which were pre-Buddhist Buddha images, so it was considered a sort of the essence of the Dhamma, and also not just in the Pali and what became the Theravada world, but also the Sanskrit is also, and it's all throughout kind of Buddhist India as Buddhism spread, also in the Sanskrit as well. It's considered one of the signature condensations of the or summaries of the Buddhist teaching, and sort of the heart of the Buddhist teaching, pointing to the cause and effect relationships, cause and condition, Paticca, also even just the way that the Four Noble Truths are formulated, or is also in a causal formation. So it is throughout the Buddhist world, and then also even in say Thailand, where they're all through like in there's something called the Nakampat Home, and Nakampat Home Chedi, which is it's outside of Bangkok. It's considered Patong, it means first, so it's probably the largest jetty in Thailand. It seems to have been built and rebuilt many times, so it's considered one of the earliest jetty the establishing of Buddhism in Thailand. And then there's along the stupa. It's up on the stupa peak. They founded in 1927, the sort of anthropologists or whatever, and that was carved up on the peak, is carved on a wall of Papatom Chedi, and then a shrine in the Papatom Chedi. That was sort of found in 1963, and then in the Uthong district of Suphanburi, which is a period of Thai history predating it goes, about 7th century of the Common Era, so it's quite old, and so it's found in Suphanburi in the Uthong district, where there was a center of time, and then also in the southern districts of Patani, and similarly dating back to the 7th century. So it's interesting in that how Moggallana the wanderer saw him coming, he said, "Your faculties are serene, friend. The color of your skin is clear and bright. Is it possible that you have found the deathless?" "Yes, friend, I have found the deathless." "But how did you find it, friend?" Sariputta the wanderer told what had happened. When Moggallana the wanderer heard that statement of the Dhamma, the perfect one has told the cause of causally arisen things and what brings their cessation too. Such is the doctrine preached by the great monk. Then the spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in him. All that is subject to arising is subject to cessation. And this verse, this is the truth. Even if that were all, you have attained the state where is no sorrow, that we for many times, 10,000 ages, have let pass by unseen. Then Moggallana said, "Friend, let us go to the Blessed One. The Blessed One is our teacher." "But, friend, these 250 wanderers are living here depending on us, looking to us. They ought to be consulted first. They will do as they think fit." They went together to the wanderers and told them, "Friends, we are going to the Blessed One. The Blessed One is our teacher. We live depending on the Venerable Ones, looking to them. If they go to lead the holy life under the great monk, then we too will do the same." So Sariputta and Moggallana went to Sampajañña, the wanderer, and told him what they were going to do. "Enough, friends, do not go. Let us three guide this community together." For the second and for the third time, they told him the same thing and received the same answer. Then Sariputta and Moggallana went with the 250 wanderers to the bamboo grove. But hot blood gushed from Sampajañña the wanderer's mouth. He probably wasn't happy. Yes, it's certainly, it is a kind of standard image when somebody's been completely frustrated or upset. And then in the book Great Disciples of the Buddha, there's a bit more of a bit more detail, and the similarity comes from the Vinaya. And so Sariputta and Moggallana are trying to but Sariputta was one who always respected his teachers, and therefore he said to his friend, "First, my dear," speaking to Moggallana, because they were very, very close friends, "First, my dear, we should go to our teacher, the wanderer Sanjaya, and tell him that we have found the deathless. If he can grasp it, he will penetrate to the truth. And even if he does not, he may, out of confidence in us, come with us to see the Master. And hearing the Buddha's teaching, he will attain to the penetration of the path and fruition." So both of them went to Sanjaya and said, "O teacher, a Buddha has appeared in the world. His doctrine is well proclaimed and his community of monks is following the right path. Let us go and see the Master." "What are you saying, my dears?" Sanjaya exclaimed, and refusing to go with them, he offered to appoint them as co-leaders of his community, speaking of the gain and fame such a position would bring them. But the two wanderers refused to be deflected from the decision, saying, "Oh, we would not mind always remaining pupils, but you, teacher, must know for yourself whether to go or not." Then Sanjaya thought, "If they know so much, they will not listen to what I say." And realizing this, he replied, "You may go then, but I cannot." "Why not, teacher?" "I am a teacher of many. If I were to revert to the state of a disciple, it would be as if a huge water tank were to change into a small pitcher. I live the life of a pupil now. Do not think like that, teacher, they urged. Let it be, my dears, you may go, but I cannot. Oh, teacher, when a Buddha has appeared in the world, the people flock to him in large crowds and pay homage to him, carrying incense and flowers. We too shall go there, and then what will happen to you? To which Sanjaya replied, what do you think, my pupils? Are there more fools in this world, or more wise people? Fools there are many, O teacher, and the wise are few. If that is so, my friends, then the wise ones will go to the wise recluse Gotama, and the fools will come to me. The fool, you may go now, but I shall not. So his logic is, it's very logical, but not very helpful in the long run for his spiritual well-being.
One more.
What was that?
The microphone.
Oh, totally forgot.
Thought you were wearing it yourself.
Totally forgot. Okay, now okay, so then they leave and go to the Buddha. The Blessed One saw Sariputta and Moggallana coming in the distance. When he saw them, he told the bhikkhus, "Here come these two friends, Kolita and Upatissa." That was what they were named in, in their previous time before they became disciples. These two will be my chief disciples, an auspicious pair. Then it was, and this is in verses, then it was that the Master announced them, they who were already liberated in the domain of profound knowledge, in the supreme destruction of the stuff of existence, before they had yet reached the bamboo grove, saying, "Here come these two friends, Kolita and Upatissa. These two will be my chief disciples, an auspicious pair." Sariputta and Moggallana went up to the Blessed One and prostrated themselves at his feet. They said to him, "Lord, we wish to have the going forth under the Blessed One and the admission." Come, bhikkhus, the Dhamma is well proclaimed. Lead the holy life for the complete ending of suffering. And that was those Venerable Ones' admission. Okay, so there they come to and the Buddha recognized them as his chief disciples, and that's they almost certainly have had. I mean, especially if one reads it in the the Upadana of the in the Khuddaka Nikaya of the karmic connections and past lives of the Buddha and his disciples, and particularly, of course, Sariputta and Moggallana play a huge role in that, and also the Buddha recognizing them what comes to mind is the story that Ajahn Chah told of his going to the very first time that he went to pay respects to Ajahn Tonglat, and he hadn't met him before, hadn't known him, he just sort of showed up there, and Ajahn Tonglat's first thing he said, "Oh, Dan Cha, so you have arrived," and it was sort of like matter of fact. How does he know my name? How does he know? So it's that I think they and Ajahn Chah certainly spoke of Ajahn Tonglat. There's not the same kind of detail or length of time that he spent, say, with Ajahn Ginnerly, but he had a very strong and deep respect for Ajahn Tonglat. And it's actually interesting that like Ajahn Tonglat, he's not very well known. There's not very much literature available about him, even in Thai. And but to me, and in what I have read of him, I mean, one, he was quite. He was really a character, but also he was one of the few Mahanikai monks who lived and trained with Ajahn Mun, but he's also, in terms of a model of that's like a communal model of how to do things, like Ajahn Chah's way of running the community and the emphasis on community and communal practice is quite different than the Ajahn Mun and his close disciples, which put a lot of emphasis on the solitude aspect. But Ajahn Tonglat seems to be the main person that Ajahn Chah saw this example of importance of community and importance of that as forming a basis of their practice and training. So Sariputta and Moggallana, here they are, chief disciples, and there is a quite a, it's in Majjhima 147, it's the Saccavibhanga Sutta, where the Buddha compares Sariputta to a mother who, in terms of their relationship to their students and their different temperaments, the Buddha compares Sariputta to a mother who gives birth, and in the way he takes them to stream entry. He takes his disciples to stream entry. But he compares Moggallana to a nurse who raises the child. Because Moggallana would care for his disciples, continuing on up to their highest goal, to arahantship. So it's a difference in their temperament and their relationships to their students. Sariputta continued to have respect for, because there's a little bit of a oblique reference of that, how Sariputta has respect for his teachers, and it's a commentarial comment, but it's the respect that Assaji had for Sariputta. It's really, it comes in many places, and so that has a feeling of a passed on tradition, that it is rooted in something that has some memory at that time. But anyway, Sariputta would always pay respects to Assaji. If he came to the monastery, he'd always, where Assaji was, he'd always go and pay respects after meeting the Buddha. But if he was not there, if Assaji was not there, then he would always get a sense of where is Assaji, and he would bow in the direction of Assaji, because he always recognized him as his that debt of gratitude for the teaching he gave that allowed him to enter the stream and to realize Dhamma and to be introduced to the Buddha. And then also Sariputta and Moggallana, they are considered the chief disciples, and then and of course they helped throughout the Buddha's life, and then even to the point of where there's a really very poignant toward the end of the Buddha's life, where so the Buddha is 80 years old, and or about that, and both Sariputta and Moggallana, say within the previous year, have passed away, and the Buddha, just looking at the kind of the assembly, the community, and just sort of saying, yeah, the community seems empty without Sariputta and Moggallana. It's just, there's a very human feeling, and they've shared this whole kind of path and establishing of this whole thing. So there's this very strong connection that they've shared. But also there's a great sutta where it's Majjhima 67, and Sariputta and Mahamoggallana have brought a group of monks to see the Buddha, and say, while the visiting bhikkhus were exchanging greetings with the resident bhikkhus and were preparing resting places and putting away their bowls and outer robes, they were very loud and noisy. Then the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Ananda thus: Ananda, who are these loud and noisy people? One would think they were fishermen hawking fish. And then so it's told that it's Sariputta and Moggallana brought this group of monks to visit, and the Buddha dismissed them. And he said, tell them to go away, and they did. And then later, they through the various things, and then they came back to pay respects to the Buddha, and sort of things were patched up, and then they went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, sat down on one side. The Blessed One then asked the Venerable Sariputta, "What did you think, Sariputta, when the Sangha of Bhikkhus was dismissed by me?" "Venerable Sir, I thought thus: the Sangha of Bhikkhus has been dismissed by the Blessed One. The Blessed One will now abide inactive, devoted to pleasant abiding here and now, and we too shall now abide inactive, devoted to pleasant abiding here now. Stop, Sariputta, stop. Such a thought should not be entertained by you again. Then the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Mahamoggallana. What did you think, Moggallana, when the Sangha Bhikkhus was dismissed by me? Venerable Sir, I thought thus. The Sangha Bhikkhus has been dismissed by the Blessed One. The Blessed One will now abide inactive, devoted to pleasant abiding here now. Now the Venerable Sariputta and I shall look after the Sangha Bhikkhus. Good, Moggallana. Either I shall look after the Sangha Bhikkhus, or Sariputta and Moggallana shall do so. So it's the kind of trust that the Buddha had in and respect that he had in Sariputta and Moggallana. And also this is very, you see these human kind of interactions and qualities come up from time to time, even in this the stilted language of a scripture. Okay, then it continues on, where they come and ask for their ordination, come bhikkhu, and the Buddha gives them the ehi bhikkhu ordination, come bhikkhus, the Dhamma is well expounded, well proclaimed, lead the holy life for the complete ending of suffering, and that was those venerable ones' admission. Now at that time, a number of well-known Magadhan clansmen were leading the holy life under the Blessed One. People disapproved, they murmured and protested. The monk Gotama is creating childlessness and widowhood. He is obliterating the clans. Already 1,000 matted hair ascetics have gone forth under him, and these 250 wanderers and now these well-known clansmen have gone to lead the holy life under the monk Gotama. When they saw bhikkhus, they mocked them with these stanzas. Gotama the monk did come to the fort of Magadha. He led away all Sanjaya's band. Whom will he lead away today? Bhikkhus heard this, and they went to the Blessed One and told them. He said, this affair will not last long. It will only last 7 days. At the end of 7 days, it will subside. So when people mock you with that stanza, you can reprove them in return with this stanza. They lead by Dhamma, who are great heroes too, and perfect ones. And when they thus lead by Dhamma, where is the ground for jealousy? So when the people mock them, they reprove the people in return. Then people began to think, monks who are sons of the Sakyans lead by Dhamma, it seems, not against Dhamma. And the affair lasted 7 days, and at the end of 7 days it subsided. So that is it's actually not really much of a valid criticism, in the sense of they're saying, oh, they're leading away all these people and they're taking them off to be Buddhist monks, but they were already wanderers in sort of like the Kassapa brother, the 1,000 Kassapa brothers, matted hair ascetics already. The followers of Sanjaya were already religious seekers, and so that it's not they were already renunciants, and but it was probably more of a my own kind of interpretation. It was probably more of a reaction from the kind of the Brahman powers that be that are sort of, okay, there's some force gathering here, there's something
happening. This is really worrisome. And of course it was. I mean, from the Brahmins' point of view, but because Buddhism and the Buddhist teachings really spread. Any questions? Yeah.
So the description of Venerable Assaji's conduct is very reminiscent of the stock definition for sampajañña.
Yeah.
And usually I hear that translated as clear comprehension, but one translation of that term that I've been attending to lately has been situational awareness.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether or not you think that that's a valid or useful way of understanding sampajañña in terms of developing our conduct.
It's one of the aspects of sampajañña, that situational awareness. And of course it is a commentarial it is a commentarial take on it, but I think it's quite a valid. I'm trying to look it up. These lists always disappear in my mind, but that situational awareness, I think, is one aspect of it. So that sampajañña, suitability, and then also gochara, the domain. So it's like the clear comprehension of purpose, sattaka sampajañña. So that's a bit more internal. And then sampajañña, sort of it's something suitability, can be certainly the internal or external, but that would make it that situational, knowing what's appropriate. Clear comprehension of domain, that gochara, time and place is really important. And then also clear comprehension of reality, asammoha, which is also the sense of not self. So clear comprehension is a sometimes a vague definition is sometimes helpful, and in the sense that one can fill in the blanks, whereas sometimes when you define something a bit too clearly, it then limits it to that. So it's certainly, situational awareness is absolutely a big part of sampajañña. But I think it also has it's helpful to fill it out. And oftentimes these translations are really, you use them because they're meaningful for one at the time. I'm trying to remember what Ajahn Jeff's translation of sampajañña is. Alertness, which is, again, that's a wonderfully vague term, and which you then sort of use it as a placeholder for filling it out. So I think it's just sort of knowing that there is this. Sampajaññas are really integral part of that cultivation of mindfulness, because it's sometimes that, say, especially the modern interpretation of mindfulness is sometimes really lacking in sampajañña, and so that having the recognition that mindfulness and clear comprehension is very rare, that mindfulness is just talked about on its own. that sampajañña is always coming in, and it's really important. It's very comprehensive.
Or would you say that that phrase, doing what needs to be done, is kind of connected with sampajañña?
Yes, although doing what needs to be done is that is also, I mean, it's a stock phrase that comes in the the actual description of arahant. So that's pretty high level of clear comprehension. Uh-huh.
One is indeed this sort of deportment, situational awareness type.
Yeah.
There's the other one, which is just as common, which is one knows thoughts, feelings,
Right.
and perceptions as they
rise
and cease.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is like an external
Yeah.
and also an internal kind of clarity.
Yeah.
Also looking at I've also done a bit of research on like the verb form, sanjanati.
Uh-huh.
That is used in very much the same way. In fact, almost identical phrasing is what you might find, say, at the beginning of the Anapanasati Sutta, where there's a short breath, and you know, quote, I'm breathing in short. And it happens with mental states, so that, if there is lust in my mind, I know, quote, there is lust in my mind. So it's kind of like a clarity. Like externally, you know what's going on, how to respond.
Yeah.
It's like, another kind of phrase that is used is like, when it's daylight, I know, quote, it is day.
It is day. Right. Right.
So there's kind of a clarity of what's really going on.
Right.
You're not deceived about these things. Again, like you're saying, that those internal states that clearly what's happening internally is just as important as the external.
Yes. That's a really good point to remember where those. Yeah, because the Buddha is so thorough, and to recognize that it covers many aspects. Yeah, that's great. Okay.